the biggest thing for me is really going into this test com in August. I've been studying, like, as you previously talked about, for about 3 years now. So it's been on and off with like my different jobs. And I've realized that I spend most of my time on logical reasoning, and I have a pretty great grasp of that, but just not under time conditions as much. And I'm trying to also manage the anxiety of like learning logic games and within the next couple of months, but starting from kind of ground zero there. And so I know like a lot of the foundational knowledge, but I'm just learning how to break down while I'm studying. I'm trying to learn how to break down each step. So if I'm like practicing logic games, I won't even look at the questions until I'm like making sure that I am making all of the inferences within the actual setup. And for me, that's helping a lot, but I just want to make sure that I'm going about this the right way, because I am like, I can't like not take the test this time. So.
Sure. All right. So let me ask you this then. What is one area where you're not sure about your current approach?
Are you speaking like logical reasoning for sure, but are you talking about which section or just?
Well, any particular section, or more specifically, any strategy, because what I heard was you want to be confident that you're going about it the right way. And so
right.
Overall, you're in my course, you're using my study plan. That's my recommendation. So if you're following that, by definition, you're doing what I think is a good idea. But is there anything in your approach overall, either in what I'm suggesting or in what you're doing outside of that, that you're not sure is the right thing to be doing or the right way to be going about it?
Yes. So I am looking at all those. Thank you again for like all of the materials, because it's so like straightforward and it answers like all of the questions I had before I even asked them, because it's so thorough. I feel like the way that I'm studying untimed right now, I'm not sure if that's the right way to go about it. Right now, I'm dividing it into sections with logical reasoning and as well as logic games. So right now, this week, I said my focus is going to be sequencing games and just switching out must-be true questions and just doing these untimed. I did apply for accommodations as well, so I think I'm going to have a little bit more time to get through it. But it's just doing this under time pressure, and with my short time span that I have, I'm not sure if I should. I'm practicing some tests like 20 to 40 right now.
Nice. That's great. So you're doing the older exams by doing questions by type specifically untimed. That's awesome. That's a good way to build familiarity, and you're not burning through recent exams. So I like that. I like that overall. I think that works well. And when are you taking the LSAT? What's your target test date?
August.
Okay, August. So August is pretty soon, speaking now towards the end of June. Yeah, it's about 2 months away. So one thing you might consider is you want to make sure that you're not doing the older exams at the expense of the newer ones. So let's say you did the exams from 20 to 40, and then you did timed exams in the 70s and 80s, that might mean that you never even touched the ones from 40 to 65 or 40 to 70. So I would consider maybe instead of doing 20 to 40 untimed, do exams in the 50s and 60s untimed, and then you'll have 70s and 80s for full length practice and timed sections.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to change that up today for sure. And as far as the sequencing, like, or me just dividing it up by type, so I'm like a little nervous that I kind of know how to do sequencing games for the most part, or I can just figure them out. But I think it's the grouping games and like hybrid games that I have like no experience with. But I also want to like give myself a chance to recognize those patterns. And the only way to do that, I've been hearing through repetition. So I'm not sure if I should so for example, I spend every other day doing I do logic games on Monday, logic reasoning on Tuesday, and I'll keep switching off. Do you recommend doing it that way? I'm trying to make sure that it takes me about an hour at least to get through setting up and reviewing a game. So that's what's making me so nervous, the fact that it's taking so long.
Yeah, it does take a while, especially on a game type that you're having trouble with. So I get that. Obviously, in timed conditions, it should be much less, but you've also got to give yourself a chance to learn the material. So it's untimed now, dissecting it now, breaking it down, understanding the process, and getting the inner workings of the game and the flow through which you do a game. The setup, the rules, the inferences, the questions, reusing previous work, getting a sense of how to solve them efficiently. And that takes a lot of time, but it won't take that long forever, especially on games that give you trouble. And so if you're doing a game and redoing it and watching a video about it and reading an explanation of it, that all takes quite a bit of time, but it's worth it.
Okay. I do have a question. So I work full time, but I'm working from home now because of COVID. But I'm trying to find that balance where I'm pushing myself, but I'm also allowing myself to learn. So what do you think would be good benchmarks goals that I should set for each week? Should I do certain amounts of games, or different types of games each day? Because I'm trying to push myself, but I don't want to burn myself out.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, the study plan already gives you plenty of work to do. And so that's breaking it down day by day. And that's my general day-by-day recommendation. But if you've got more time, then of course you can increase that a bit and mix in additional practice problems of each type, or mix in more variety. Let's say it's a week that's focused on logical reasoning. I'll mix in a little bit of games as well, but you could add on another section of games, or you could spend more time reviewing problems too. And any of it's really good, but don't burn out. Don't do too much. Limit yourself. 5-6 hours a day of focused studying is really plenty, and I wouldn't ever look to go beyond that.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, that's already my question. Let me think. I guess I'm just the bigger question is, I am following the study guide. I'm just nervous that it won't be enough, for me to learn it. I don't know, so I'm basically, what I'm saying is, with past experiences with other students that have taken the 3-month study guide, did they feel like it was enough for them if they were coming from unlearning different types? Because I've been through a lot of programs, the person review, different types of classes that did not help my selective approach. So I guess I'm just wondering if other students have felt that it was enough for them to focus only on those games.
Some people go beyond. I mean, it's everyone's at a different point, and everyone has a different amount of time to devote to this. So if you want to do more practice problems of a given type, by all means, feel free. I just don't want you to do too much. And some of my schedules are actually fairly intense, assuming you have any other obligations at all, like work and school and family. And if you get sick and you fall behind, or pre-COVID people went on vacation, that could be different things that could get in the way. So I do try to keep it manageable and realistic. And some people, I get requests on both sides to either give suggestions for more and give suggestions for what to take away. So obviously there's no one size fits all. You've got to adjust. So I gave a couple of ideas to add on more if you want to. And depending on your goals and the amount of time that you have, you could do more.
Okay, perfect. And I also wanted to ask, thank you for that. I also wanted to ask you about the class schedule. So I noticed that when I came in, you guys were doing flaws, and that was so great. Should I how would you recommend me going about that? Are the classes, should I prioritize them over the study guide, and try to do it in conjunction, or
That's a good question. So everybody's at different points. Some people are taking the LSAT like yourself. They're taking it August. Others are doing July. Others are doing November or even January. So because everyone's at different points, they're not always going to be at the exact same spot in the study plan. So for that reason, it's not going to match your schedule precisely, but just show up when you can. Show up if you're able to make it. I would definitely suggest attending. And that there's a unique power and value in being there live and being able to ask your personal questions, and to also get the support from that community of like-minded students going through the same thing. And the group coaching, especially, even more so, you really get the community feel there. So I would definitely attend that whenever possible. The class is focused on flaws. Let's say you were a master of flaws and you knew them all super well. Yeah, of course, there's not a need to attend that one in particular, but especially if you're working on logical reasoning in the moment, that's a great place to show up and get a deeper understanding of flaws. If not, though, if either you would find it more valuable that day to do a timed section or do some untimed practice, do that, and then you could watch the recording within a couple of days. I typically put it up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. I definitely will. I enjoyed the false class, actually. Like, it was really cool to have everyone there and, like, actually go over some. I guess my next question would be, I'm going to start with the question in a second, but
That's fine.
I want to know, like, because since you had such a huge jump in, like, your LSAT, like, journey, when you first started out, or as you were getting better with the patterns and, like, drilling, did you ever feel, like, exhausted after, like, I guess, completing a game or a question, or, like, that you had to break it down into pieces? And did your, like, stamina increase? And, like, what did you do, like, if you felt this, I guess, exhaustion? What did you do, like, to increase that?
Yeah, so I definitely felt exhausted. As soon as you said, did you ever feel exhausted? I was like, yes. Whatever follows, the answer is yes. So I did. And then doing specific work of any kind that gave me trouble. Yeah. I mean, for me, like, reading comp actually came a little bit more naturally, and games was tougher for me. And so it took a while to get that. And it was also just discouraging to not understand something. And so if I would get fatigued or overwhelmed, yeah, I would take a break, and I might put it away and come back the next day. You know, and if you can put it away and come back later that day or within a couple of hours or so, that's even better, just to keep going. But I mean, the solution overall, just due to overcome discouragement, and also just to increase stamina, is simply to do more. And whatever carrots and sticks you can use to push yourself to do more, then use those. I mean, I would do a chapter of a book and then watch an episode of Chappelle's Show. Like, that was my thing. I would just do that. I would alternate to say, okay, if I get through this chapter, I get to watch something funny. And that kept me moving. That was what motivated me. And people will use all sorts of motivations, but it's whatever is personal to you on that.
Perfect. Thank you. And I just have one more question. It was about, I'm prioritizing logic games and logical reasoning, but I'm not sure. I haven't touched reading comp yet. So I wanted to, like, know, when do you think I should start implementing it? Like, I was thinking about maybe once, like, a week on the weekend or something like that, because many people say that reading comp is kind of like, you can get that down with logical reasoning, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, so I mean, reading comp and logical reasoning definitely have some overlap there. They both involve, instead of a stimulus, it's an entire passage in reading comp. And they're both focused on argumentative structure rather than the details or the facts presented there. So you'll see a lot of overlap. It's kind of like logical reasoning in certain ways is in between games and reading comp in terms of its structure. As you know, logical reasoning has some formal logic involved. Right. But with reading comp, I think the biggest difference is that the passage is much longer, and it can be tougher in certain ways too. The things are more buried because it's bigger. And so there's a bit more hunting around to do there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. That makes me feel a lot better. Like, and so I'll just follow the schedule then, and I'll make sure that I implement it exactly when you say implement it, because I feel better about that. Way better now.
Yeah, what you're doing now will help. And you'll get there when you get there. And if you're curious about it, of course, you could do a passage or two or a section or two in the short term just to get a taste of what it's like. But obviously, the schedule will have you get there too.
Okay, perfect. Thank you again. I looked at the schedule. I did a deep dive in it, and you put so many, like, great breaks in there, like days off that are already accounted for. Thank you so much for that, because I was like, no one does that. And, like, people just expect you to keep going and, like, figure it out for yourself. I just thought that was just so simple. And it kind of gave me incentive to, like, get certain things done, just to get it done.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, days off is definitely important. I think you don't want to burn out, and it's reasonable to take a day off here or there for sure. Cool. All right, Jocelyn. Cool. Before we sign off, what would you say is the biggest insight you got from our call today?
I think I feel more at ease and trusting the process, and really understanding that, like, it's not about quality. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. Like, so really focusing on the games from like newer prep tests, and actually drilling on time with those, and just making sure that I am thorough with it, like, and just trusting that. So I feel like I really learned that. I feel like I feel more at ease with that.
Awesome. Well, it was great to connect with you today, and I'll see you in class soon.
Thank you. See you later, Steve.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.